This was me in middle school, and this is me today. Society in the movies would have you believe that I ditched the glasses, figured out how to do the hair, figured out how to do the makeup, and I transformed into this beautiful swan. And all of a sudden, all of my problems were solved, and life was beautiful. But the truth is, I've never been insecure. And that's because being a baddie is all about the mindset, and you don't even have to look good to have it. Welcome to the party and welcome to your first day of wizard school. I'm Nanaba and I will be your magic mystic. The secret to confidence is knowing that you are whole and complete as you are. That's really it. No matter where I've been in life, pretty, smart, athletic, the ugly duckling, I've always known I was whole. I've always known that there was nothing inherently missing inside of me. The goal of today's video is to show you how to transform into the girl who knows that she's enough. The girl who knows that no matter what happens in life, I'm good. If you want to be so confident you get self-obsessed allegations, listen up. When I talk about alchemy, I'm not talking about the wizards and the warlocks and the secret potions and the turning lead into gold. All of that is a metaphor because the essence of alchemy is the art of transformation. Alchemy is about turning something that you don't want into something that you desire. In this case, confidence. To understand how to transmute insecurity into confidence, you have to understand that everything in life serves a purpose, including insecurity. Insecurity arises out of neglect. Someone made a comment about my hair and about how it was a wig, and it triggered feelings of insecurity. And I'm not a person who gets insecure easily, so when I feel those feelings, I immediately assess them. The reason I started wearing wigs in the first place is to grow my natural hair and maintain it and keep it healthy. If I'm spending more time taking care of my wigs versus my natural hair, I'm out of alignment with the purpose. This is what I mean when I say insecurity arrives out of neglect, right? There's something that you haven't been doing. There's something that you've been putting off. There's something that you haven't been giving the proper necessary attention that your subconscious knows that you're capable of doing. So it's signaling to you, hey, there's an issue here because right now you're off the path. Think about it like a trapped child in a closet. Except in this case, if you don't feed the child, it grows stronger and louder. Let's say you feel unsatisfied with where you are in life. Your subconscious's mode of communication with you is through emotions and feelings. Your subconscious knows that your current reality is not aligned with your desired reality. It's trying to get you to do something about it. This year, we want things to be different. This year, we want to look better. This year, we want to feel more confident. This year, we want to have friends. This year, we want to have a relationship that actually progresses. You need to understand that negative emotions serve to inspire action. When you're feeling happy, when you're feeling positive, when you're in a good mood, you want to maintain whatever is keeping you in that good mood. You want to maintain your current situation. When you feel angry, when you feel jealous, when you feel upset, when you feel sad, those negative emotions, they're arising to inspire you to make a change because you don't want to keep feeling like this, right? And the only way to stop feeling like this is to change the situation. Objectively assess what is it trying to tell me and what do I need to change? She always wanted what other people had, imagining it contained some hidden treasure. But whenever she got what she wanted, she inevitably felt disappointed by the reality. It was a mystery what in the end could satisfy her. Now I need you to stop torturing yourself. Some people call it grass is greener syndrome. I call it rear view mirror syndrome because objects in the rear view mirror are shinier than they appear. If you're biblical, think of Egypt. All the Hebrews wanted to do was leave Egypt. They were tired of being slaves. They were tired of being oppressed. They just wanted to get free from the chokehold that was the Pharaoh's reign. As soon as they got free into the desert, what did they start doing? I don't have any food. Oh, life is so hard when you actually have to be independent and work for yourself and everything's not just provided for you like it was in Egypt. And God was like, all right, you don't have any food, I'll give you some bread. And then they started complaining about how all they had to eat was bread. It's like, do you want to go back to being a slave?
So we didn't learn. We didn't learn from last time. We didn't. So we didn't learn. Comprehension. We didn't learn.
If only we had died by the Lord's hand in the land of Egypt, where we sat by pots of meat and ate all the bread we wanted. Instead, you brought us to this wilderness to make this whole assembly die of hunger? The universe knew what it was doing when it did not make me God. I would have sent your asses back to Egypt. Comparison will make you insecure, but to compare is to be human. So what is the solution? Evolutionarily, when we compared things to our neighbors, to our friends, to the people around us, it helped us evolve and be better. Let's say you had to make a hammer and you saw your neighbor made a hammer twice as fast as you did. If you look at what he's doing and you adopt his practices, guess what? All of a sudden you're more efficient. All of a sudden your offspring has a higher chance of survival. So once you understand that it is human nature fundamentally to compare, you don't feel so guilty for doing it. I once dated this guy who didn't wear his contacts so he couldn't see how messy his house was. I'm like not even kidding. His logic was, well, if I can't see, then I don't know how messy it is, right? Of course, everyone else who visited his house knew he was living in a state of chaos. Everything from a distance looks lovely. Once you go closer, you start to see the dirt. You start to see the flaws. You start to see how this idealistic thing might not be as great as it seemed in your dreams. A really easy way to get out of the comparison trap is to start building a case for why the life that you think you want isn't actually as great as it seems. A lot of people think that they want to be famous, but you actually sit there and you think about what the life of being famous would be like. Think about the loss of privacy. You can't go out to the grocery store, hang out with your friends without people swarming you. You can't just have a day off. Like, you always have to be on when you leave the house. Your circle gets smaller. You never know who wants you for your fame or wants you for what you can do for them. You become a lot more skeptical and hardened on the outside. Public entitlement. You think about how your whole career is dependent on other people's opinions of you. And the minute that your public opinion plummets, like, so does the bag, right? Like, so does the money. You realize you can't be as authentic and as free as you were before the fame, because now you're aware of people's perceptions. Now you have to filter yourself. Now you can't be as authentic. Now you can't be who you truly are publicly. When you have those moments of feeling insecure and comparing yourself to other people, other girls, start building a case as to why that life is actually not that great. Let's say there's a girl at your school who's super popular. She's super rich. She always has the best clothes. Everyone adores her. Regina George minus the bitchiness. And now think about what her day-to-day life actually is like. She's super rich. What do her parents do? They're both doctors. She doesn't get to spend as much time with her parents as you do, because they're always working and they're always busy, because someone has to make the money, right? Or she always has to deal with people being jealous of her. When you start doing this thing of building a case as to why you don't actually want what you think you want, it starts making your life a whole lot more appealing. You realize it might not actually be the life that I want. Now I need you to realize that there's only two choices. One is to accept it, two is to change it. Ideally, you do both, but at the very least, you gotta accept it. I'm gonna let you in a little secret. You don't have to do them in order. Mia wasn't a baddie just because she transformed, right? But her transformation, her physical glow up, it started giving her the confidence to stand up for herself.
Morning, Miss Gupta. Morning, Lily. Lily's friend.
Pre-glow up, she had no presence, no opinions of her own. She threw up and ran out of her debate class. She literally said, "My expectation in life is to be invisible, and I'm good at it." The reason she didn't want to show she had this glow up is because subconsciously she knew this new version of herself couldn't act the same way the past version of herself was acting. All the things that I was doing in the previous version of myself, they can't exist in this future state. There was that scene where she finally stands up to, I don't even remember, Anna Banana, one of the Annas, and she shoves an ice cream cone at her, and she's like, "Yeah, you know what? I might always be a freak, but you're a bitch and you're never gonna grow out of that." Paraphrasing, of course. The glow up happens when you accept yourself for who you are. Acceptance does not mean complacency. Acceptance means this current version of myself, how it is today, is completely fine. I'm okay with it because I know where I want to be and I know what I have to do to get to where I want to be. And everyone has to start somewhere, and this is where I'm starting. I do believe everyone is born that girl, but they get it beaten out of them. They get it beaten out of them by society, socialization, community, your parents, expectations of everyone else. You start to lose your internal voice of like who you are, who you want to be, where you want to go, what you want to do. Let's understand the root of true confidence. If you base your confidence on external accomplishments, you will always fail. There's always going to be someone that's better than you. And if you are the best person in your field, you can't be good at everything. There's always going to be someone that's better than you in something else. The key to true confidence is understanding that you are the magic. It's you, your awareness, your consciousness, your desire, your drive, your focus, your attention. That is the magic. The magic is understanding that you're whole completely as you are. The fundamental quote of alchemy is use what you got to get what you want. And the art of transmutation is transformation. We're turning something we don't want into something that is more appealing. Lesson number one in the art of transformation is understanding that we all have fundamental strengths and weaknesses that may never change. But your life doesn't suck because of your lack of talents. It sucks because you don't understand how to allow your weaknesses to work in your favor. Joan Crawford channeled her need to be loved from a childhood filled with abandonment and neglect into a 40-year legacy career. Gabrielle Chanel turned her need to be desired from a father who despised responsibility into a legacy fashion house. This is the alchemy you must use on yourself. If you're a hyper-perfectionist who likes to control everything, you must redirect this energy into some productive work instead of using it on people. If you're a people pleaser, you can control the compulsive and defensive aspect of it and use it as a genuine social skill that can bring you great power. If you're highly sensitive and prone to taking things personally, you can work to redirect this into active empathy. If you have a rebellious character, channel this into some kind of innovative work instead of compulsively insulting and alienating people. For each weakness, there is a corresponding strength. Like Einstein said, energy is never created or destroyed, it's only transformed. Emotions are the same way, and so are talents. You can redirect weaknesses into strengths once you know what they are, and once you know how to use them to benefit you. Let's talk about what alchemists call the salted personality. I like to call it the salty personality. Many people become more rigid the older they get, and this is because of survival and socialization. Think of a girl who was cheated on and now she distrusts all her future partners. Betrayal. Think about a girl who was ostracized from her friend group and now she has issues trusting girls. Think about a girl who's sexualized in the workplace and now she has a distrust of her male coworkers. Hardships in life that we experience harden us over time, like salt. To retrieve that energy, the salt, our personality, must be dissolved and purified to get to who we really are. There's 3 essential phases of alchemy: negredo, albedo, and rubedo. The negredo phase is the black phase.
Kill me, get your ass in here. Come on, girl.
Not that black phase. The first step in the black phase is to recognize and isolate the first matter. The first matter refers to your subconscious mind and all the potential energy it holds. The goal is to contain the subconscious mind so we can work on it without letting it interfere with our functioning world. Let's say you're out with your boyfriend and you see him talking to a pretty girl and you feel insecure. Or you're scrolling on social media and you see a creator who's living your dream life and you feel behind. Your best friend joins a new friend group and starts making new friends and you feel jealous. You're starting a new job with many experienced superiors and you feel like you don't belong. The situation triggers a negative experience from your subconscious. What we want to do is isolate the energy, the insecurity, the negative emotion that you're feeling before it has the chance to be transformed into something even worse. A lot of times when we feel insecure, we end up projecting our feelings onto other people in a negative way. Your boyfriend's talking to a pretty girl, you get mad at him for no reason. When you don't contain that emotion, it gives it room to transform into a worse and much negative and more reactive emotion. How we do this? In alchemy, there's a phase called calcination, which literally means to reduce to bone by burning. They do this by heating a substance in an open flame. Alchemists saw personal calcination as a loss of ego or personal identity. In mental alchemy, liquid is symbolic of emotions and feelings. So the idea here is to divorce yourself from the intense emotions associated with the situation and work with fire. Fire being symbolic of objective consciousness. Simply put, get out of your ego, get out of your opinions, get out of your personal feelings, and detach. You're training yourself to not react in the moment, and this is how. First step to do is to understand that when you're triggered, you're in trance. You are literally in a hypnotic-like state where old mental programs, social conditioning, and limiting beliefs are running on a loop. So once you understand when you're triggered, you're in trance, and when you're in trance, you're in hypnosis, you understand what's going on and you understand how to get yourself out of it. What you're going to do next is you're going to adopt a third person's perspective. You start referencing yourself in the situation like you're not currently there. She was scrolling on TikTok and came across Nara Smith's page and now feels like her life isn't perfectly put together. Samantha's best friend joins a new friend group and now Samantha feels jealous. You get the point. You are not the person that's actively experiencing the situation that you're feeling. It's someone else. And the way you do that is by mentally start talking to yourself like you're having an out-of-body experience, like a movie. Then what you're going to do is you're going to start addressing the facts. What are the objective facts? Boyfriend went over to that girl at the bar and started talking to her. He put his hand on her hips. Start addressing the facts like you are a scientist and you're writing a research paper, like you are a journalist and you're writing a column. When you address the facts and everything is just written on a cold, hard sheet of paper, you start to realize when your feelings are warranted and when you're insecure. Let's say your boyfriend was talking to a girl at a bar and she was the bartender and he was literally ordering your drinks. When you write those facts on a piece of paper and you review them, you see that you sound like a psycho. You see that you are the one who's being insecure. But if you write the facts on a piece of paper and you say, oh, he did go up to that girl, he literally put his hand on her waist, he bought her a drink, he's the problem, and you understand that it's not that you're insecure, it's that the situation is making you feel insecure. And if that's the case, you need to remove yourself from the situation. When you have this addressing of the facts, you can just confront reality as it is. You just understand how to move better. Phase 2, the black phase, is what alchemists refer to as dissolution or solution. It's where they transform a substance by submerging it into liquids. This is all symbolism. Liquid being symbolic of your subconscious. You want to immerse yourself into water and plunge yourself into your subconscious. We do this through introspection. Before you talk to anyone else, before you react, before you even give yourself a chance to fuck up your life, talk to yourself first. Why do I feel like this? What about this situation triggered me? What does this feeling remind me of? Phase 1 of calcination happens in the moment. You see the person you're triggered. You're in the moment, you feel insecure. You see the person, you feel jealous. Phase 2 happens when you have time to reflect on the moment. The first part of calcination is all about teaching you how to slow down your reaction time and not react in the moment. The second part, dissolution, is teaching you how to reflect on why you were triggered in the first place. When people say do the work, This is the work. Psychologically, we do this through deliberately reviewing harsh and painful memories until the emotions re-emerge. Medieval alchemists were the first to understand this process and actually believed that the salt in tears was the remnant of crystallized thought and memories broken down by crying. Sometimes a lump will form in your throat or tears will well up in your eyes. The idea is to let yourself go and cry as long and as hard as you can. You don't necessarily have to cry, you just have to immerse yourself in the feeling and feel the emotions of the things that trigger you. Why do I have to relive the past of my trauma? Well, it's gonna keep coming up either way, so you're either just gonna keep getting triggered or you're gonna feel it and eventually deal with it and then you can move on. When you feel your feelings, you experience them and they feel like they're seen and they're heard and then they can go away. The dark phase is considered the most difficult because the work is the most difficult. Re-experiencing past trauma is the most difficult thing you'll have to do as a human. What's triggering the jealousy? What's making you feel like you're not good enough? And where does this come from? Your answer is most likely in your childhood, and this is the unpleasant part. When you never cope with the negative feelings in your childhood, you bring them onto adulthood and they just become worse. You went through it once as a kid, and now every single time you're triggered, you experience that same feeling. So if you never go back, if you never deal with the feeling of abandonment, the feeling of not being seen, not feeling like you're good enough, not feeling like a whole and complete person, if you never go back to your childhood mentally and deal with those things, you're just gonna keep. It's like reopening a wound every single time you get triggered. And you can do that, but wouldn't you rather just heal the first time and then get it over with? But here's the thing too that I want to emphasize. Things come up when they're ready to be dealt with. So if something keeps coming up, it's ready to be dealt with. Please don't try and heal yourself in a day because that's just going to be even more traumatic. When you get insecure because your friend has made a new friend and you feel like you're being abandoned all over again, when you enter a new workplace and you feel like you're incompetent because in school you never felt like you were good enough, you not dealing with those things and you not addressing those feelings, all you're doing is projecting it onto other people. You change the form of energy. So now this insecurity becomes anger, and now this jealousy becomes irrationality, and now this feeling of not feeling good enough turns into depression. The white phase. We did all that nasty, grimy, hard work in the black phase where we had to catch ourselves the moment we're triggered and realize we're triggered and go back and deal with the root of the trigger. And now we're at the white phase where most of the impurities are extracted and now we just need to cook and purify. Phase 1 is the separation process. The goal is to separate the purified substance from the waste material to form a new substance. This is usually accomplished through filtration, a method of passing material through a screen or porous paper. Think of it like separating who you really are from who you've been conditioned to be by friends, family, previous partners, school, the church, community. Come here. This is what I want you to really understand. You weren't born insecure. It's a learned trait. A new system requires new programming. And to generate new programming, we need a new perspective. We do this by asking ourselves, who do I want to be? How would a confident woman act and react in this situation? Why do I want what I want? Why do you want to be confident? If we're honest with ourselves, a lot of the times we want things because of other people. You want to be secure maybe to attract a partner, to be popular, to be well-liked, to be admired, to be recognized. It's okay to want to start to do something because of other people, but that's never going to carry you across the finish line. Your motivation has to come from you. So I want you to really sit and think about, why do you want to be this confident, strong, secure woman? What about those characteristics would make your life better? What does the life I want to live look like? What habits do you have to adopt or drop to become this confident, sexy, secure, charismatic woman? Why aren't you doing them right now? Answering these questions requires honesty and objectivity, so don't cheat yourself because you're not cheating me. Phase 2 of the white phase is the conjunction process. Conjunction was. Scientifically, conjunction is the act of joining the purified essences together to create a new compound. Psychologically, conjunction is the union of opposing parts of our personality, the masculine king and the feminine queen. So the spirit in king is constantly striving for change and betterment, and the soul in the queen is happy with the way things are and wants to settle down in this journey of achieving your desired reality. There's a balance at stake, a juggling act. Being content with how you are, self-love, and wanting more for yourself. When you're too content, there's no progress. And if you're never content, you'll never be happy. The conjunction process is what I like to call the flop tester of the experiment, because it's either going to work and it's going to be a success and you're going to create this new persona of confidence, of charisma, of being a a baddie, or it's gonna flop. The test of survival is in the everyday world of family, friends, coworkers, and stressful responsibilities. We are now at the final stage of alchemy, the red phase, what is known as the revival phase. Stage 1 of the red phase, fermentation. Fermentation happens when you allow a material to decay. Yeast is added to speed up the process, resulting in a byproduct. Think of it like allowing your past self to decompose in order for your desired self to be born from it. We do this by allowing some sort of spiritual aspects to guide us in our transformation, whether that's God, whether that's religion, whether that's spirituality, whether that's your higher self. A spiritual presence acts like the yeast in the fermentation process. You can do it by yourself. You can do it faster if it's for something bigger than yourself. I want to be confident to show others in my community what it looks like to have self-love. It can be that simple. Phase 2 of the red phase is distillation, which is the boiling and condensing of a solution to increase its concentration and purity. One can obtain the pure alcohol spirit of wine by distilling a solution of fermented grapes. In practical alchemy, this is the most important part of the operation. Think of it like a constant filtering process to sift out the real you. Psychologically, we do this simply by paying attention to our everyday thoughts. We're always recycling thoughts and regurgitating emotions in a never-ending struggle to organize our lives and find direction and meaning. This chaotic process goes unchecked and unnoticed until a distilled idea breaks through. Have you ever said a word so many times it lost its meaning? Tuba, 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 tuba. That principle can be applied to thoughts. This is what you're going to do the next time you have a thought that does not fit with your desired reality. You have a thought that pops into your head that you're not good enough. You can either say it out loud or say it in your head, but you mock the voice that you just heard repeatedly. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Or you have a thought that says you're not smart. I'm not smart. You mock the thought. And the second thing, and importantly, is you change the thought and you give a reason. I am good enough because I aced my Spanish exam. I am pretty because I am a good person. It doesn't even have to logically make sense. The subconscious mind just needs a reason. The reason doesn't have to be true. That's the beautiful thing about the subconscious. You really can trick it into believing whatever you want. Emotion plus repetition is how you convince the subconscious mind that things are real. The subconscious is delulu because you just have to believe it and you have to feel it and it will believe it and it will make it true. If you made it to the end of this video and implemented my steps, congratulations, you are officially an alchemist. Magic, baby. That's all I had for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this video and thanks for coming to the party, and I will see you guys in the next one. And if you want to see why avoiding pain will keep you stuck, click this video.